That was a loss, but a step in the right direction for the Indiana Fever and really the WNBA, because the league is going to do better the better that Caitlyn Clark does. And let's give some credit to head coach Christy Sides. She made an adjustment fairly early in the season, right? Like 2 games in, after 2 games is pretty early in the season. She takes Erica Wheeler out of the starting lineup in order to insert Caitlyn Clark in as the point guard, which is what Clark needed to be. Clark playing off the ball allowed the teams to swarm her and everything like that. And it also took away half of her abilities, which is how good she is as a passer, her vision. The more that the Fever play like this, the better everybody's going to play, because Clark is going to share the ball and her teammates are going to realize they're going to get the ball. There was still some kinks to work out there. Some of the turnovers were great dimes, really, that were just dropped or mishandled. But overall, it was such a more entertaining and engaging product to watch. And the star attraction got to play her game. We saw Clark make some of those passes, I said. We saw her take the pull-up threes from deep. And she even hit a mid-range pull-up at one point. So some takes to the basket. Overall, you realize why she is who she is, and she's gotten this attention. Now, on the other side of it, let's be fair about it, and let's be real. The takeaway from the game is that Caitlyn Clark at point guard is going to unleash her, and the Fever will get better as a result. But if you're just looking at the game itself, the New York Liberty are leagues better than the Fever right now. It is not even close. It is not a discussion. It is not a comparison. It is not even close. And you saw that on display. I mean, in that first game, it was Breanna Stewart really just dominating, and she had another really strong game in this one. But up and down the lineup, Jones had 14. Sabrina Ionescu hit 4 threes, had 12 points. And by the way, Sabrina's got those new shoes coming out that look fire. Have y'all seen those? Let me pull up those shoes for a second, because that's worth taking a look at. I love these things. These look great. Sabrina 2 coming June 28th. Those are fire. I want to get Ronnie, my daughter, a pair of those. Those are really, really good kicks. But that's the difference between a team that was in the finals versus a team that had the number 1 pick in the draft. And there's still some ugliness for the Fever to work out. I mean, their defense is not good enough. Their rebounding is not good enough. Aaliyah Boston had a better game statistically, but I still think she needs to have more of an imprint for them to succeed. Samuelson really doesn't offer much for the team. I don't see her taking the attention away from Clark. I don't see her putting pressure on the defense. I've been a fan of Smith's game. They inserted Mitchell into the starting lineup. She played well. Wheeler did not have a good game off the bench, but that was a necessary change. Nevertheless, it's going to be a while before the Fever are on the level of the good teams in the WNBA. I mean, a while may not be this season, right? That you just see it is a seismic gap between those teams. But the most important thing, the better Clark plays, the better the team is going to play. And the better Clark plays, the better it is for the league. So I think this was a really good thing because it happened in an ABC game. I would bet you this is the game that has more viewers than any of their games so far this year. And it was the game that looked like the Caitlyn Clark we wanted to see in the WNBA. She still got roughed up a little bit in this one. There's still, some learning curves and some adjustments to be made, but it feels like a lesson was learned. Jay-Z says on the record Smile off 444, the album right there, a loss ain't a loss, it's a lesson. And appreciate the pain, it's a blessing. There's been some pain. Those first 2 games were painful. This was much more appealing to watch, and a lesson was learned, I would say, relatively early. That's why I said, let's be a little patient here. I said Clark needs to run the team. Give her the ball, spread the floor, let her cook. And they got much closer to that formula in this game. Much, much closer to that formula in this game. And that's the formula that is going to eventually lead to wins for the Fever as they all get acclimated together. And it's the formula that's going to lead to more eyeballs on the league. So, overall, in the grand scheme of things, that was a victory for Caitlyn Clark and the WNBA. But it was a loss for the Indiana Fever at the hands of the New York Liberty. I mean, it just, but that's what's funny about it. You didn't hear people come out and crush Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs for losing games in the NBA this year because we're used to that. Just the attention has been ratcheted up on Caitlyn Clark and the WNBA because it's a little bit unprecedented. Now, let me give credit to the rest of the ladies in the league. The league was on a growth pattern. It's been growing. Last year was the most watched season in maybe in the history, or at least 20-something years, whatever it is, long time. Most watched season in a long, long time, if not ever under the current parameters. But this is a whole new amount of attention. And with that has come a little bit of animosity. There are people taking glee in any failures from Caitlyn Clark. And you can tell there are other women in the league with a chip on their shoulder. And I don't think this is in a bad way, a chip on their shoulder to prove a point, to say, you're going to be welcomed to the WNBA. It ain't going to be easy. This ain't Iowa. So all those things are part of the equation. But it also leads to a skewed point of view where people are going to be like, scoreboard when you show a Caitlyn Clark highlight, even though they didn't do that with Victor Wembanyama highlights, because it's implicitly understood that the Spurs were bad. They had the number one pick for a reason. The Fever were bad. They had the number one pick 2 years in a row for a reason. So if any Caitlyn Clark fans thought they were going to be competing for the championship, they were delusional. At the same time, anybody who's trying to use the results of the game against her is just hating. They're just hating. We're watching this in real time. This is a unique story, a unique moment in sports history and women's basketball history. And it got off to a rough start. But as I said in that last video, the one that said free Caitlyn with the question mark as the banner, eventually this adjustment needed to happen. And it happened fairly quickly. And Caitlyn has adjusted to the WNBA as a result fairly quickly. So it's only going to be up from here. And that's what people were tuning in to see. CC play like that, which she does as a point guard. Spread the floor, give her the ball, get out of the way, let her cook. She will find you. That's the formula for Indiana. Now, they got to catch passes. They got to play better defense. That includes Caitlyn. They got to rebound the basketball, all those things. And again, it's going to be a while before they're on the same level as the New York Liberty.